All right, guys, what I want to do really quick is just talk about a presentation outline, and this is just a simple way that you can present your work. And I'm just going to cover some basics in Photoshop, and I have a couple pieces that I did recently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this as if I was putting a portfolio page together. For some of you, you might treat this as if you were just doing one single image or presentation for class, but I like to incorporate multiple images inside this. So what I have right here is I have a high-res paper PDF, PSD file that I can give to you guys. I also like to use this for sketching all the time. If I come down under image and image size right here, you can see this is 21 by 13. It's at 72 DPI, but if I want, I can copy and paste this and put it on a new file that's going to be 300 DPI. Now remember, one of the importance with the DPI settings would be if you're producing something that's ever going to go to print, you want to be working at 300 DPI. If you're going to take something to Kinko's or FedEx and try to print it on a printer from a thumb drive and you bring a 300 DPI file, you better be ready to stand there for about 15 minutes for the computer to load up that whole entire process. That's why when I lecture to you guys sometimes and we talk about having a for print file, okay, which is having your work saved in a separate folder just for printing, and then having a working file with all your working layers and all your layers that aren't compressed. And then I even have another folder called the JPEG folder, and that's why I keep those three separate from each other. The JPEG is just a low-res JPEG I can send via email. The for print is something I've modified to print, and then the working file is the original file with multiple layers on top of it. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do really quick here, I have this, I'm going to go ahead, I like to start off with a 300 DPI, so I'm going to create a new image here, I'm going to put it at 300 DPI, okay, and then what I'm going to do is come back here, select my paper, select all, copy, I'm going to come back here, I'm going to paste it in, and see how low res, this paper should be okay if I make it a little bit high res, that's fine. It should hold its detail pretty good, and there it is. I knew it would because it was one of those 72 DPI that was taking it a very large size, so when I enlarge it, it holds itself pretty well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this. I want to have a base, and then I'm going to start putting pages. I'm going to pretend right now I'm making a portfolio page for a presentation. And so what I'm going to do is I have a couple pieces that I've done, and I'm going to grab these pieces and start copying and pasting them inside, and then I'm going to figure out how to arrange them to the best of my presentation ability. So let me select all, let me copy on this, and I'll come back here. I'm going to hit Command V. Now you can see that image is a lot larger, so I'm going to go ahead and scale this down and get it to where it might fit. Okay, this is a really long sort of panoramic piece, and I don't know if I'm going to keep this piece on here or not, but for right now I'm just going to put it like that. I like to go through and put all my images on and then close them, and then I decide later how I want to rearrange them. So I have some character design there, select all, copy, okay. I'm going to paste those on here as well. They're going to be very large because most of my stuff is already way above the 300 DPI range, and I keep it that way so I can go on top of it, paint it, manipulate it, and then it's always ready for print. This is a really long piece too because it's there. Keep it to about there, let's say. You know what? I just realized I did something. Hold on a minute. I put it on the wrong image on the base paper. I should have closed that. So let me close that. Nope. Untitled 1 is the one I wanted it on. There. Now I'm going to shrink it and adjust it. That's way too small. Let's say I'm going to put it just about there and I'll adjust it. Okay. I got a couple other images here. Let me go through. I have that one. Select all. Copy. Let's close that one. Let's paste that in there. Every time I paste, it's automatically putting it on a separate layer, right? Right. Okay. Now I can turn these off while I continue going here. Install, copy. That one's really low res. I think I had that as a JPEG. So if I enlarge this, let me see if it gets pixelated. It's getting a little bit pixelated, but that'll be okay for what we're doing right now. Uh-oh. Oh, dude. Okay, hold on a minute. All right, guys, welcome back. So I accidentally closed the file. I open it up, and now what you should have done is you should go under File, Save As, now that you have the paper in there and some images, and save it. So I go under File, Save As, I put it on my desktop, portfolio page, boom, save, done. I'm going to replace it. Okay, so now I have this base page. Now, I just threw this up as a piece of paper. I'm just doing this as a quick example. I'm probably going to change this paper. The reason why is I tend to make my portfolio pages based off of what information it is I'm sharing with my viewer. So this work has color in it. Color might not be, so let me turn on a couple pieces, right? This piece fades into the color that's behind it, right? So, and if I were to turn on like this piece, the castle piece, well, that's blue. So blue and orange might not look that great together. It would be in my best interest to probably think about using some type of a light beige or brown color, or some, or more of a gray, I should say, that's more neutral to flatten under so the colors can pop forward. Does that make sense? I don't want to create a page that has oranges and browns in it that might be competing against the artwork. Right now, this is competing against my little piece that I did here, right? So what I can do to quickly adjust this, layers are your best friend in Photoshop. They're fantastic. I'm going to create a new layer right above here. Okay, I'm going to drag it down, put it over my layer of my paper right here. And I'm going to go ahead and just select like a medium gray about right here, and I'm just going to fill it. Boom. Oh, I have a gradient tool on. Go to G, which is the bucket. I fill it. Now the whole layer is gray. The benefit of doing that is now I could start building off of gray and see how it looks, but I can also come under the layer options right here, and if I go down to like multiply or soft light, I can change and adjust the opacity of that gray on top of my paper, and then if I put a colored image on it, see how much more my color pops out now? Okay, but without that gray, look at what happens. My color gets killed because of the brightness of the backdrop that's underneath there. Okay, versus what if I did this? If I leave it completely 100% opacity, I have that gray back there. That doesn't look too great either, does it? That gray with there. That's why a lot of times when people tend to show portfolio pages in color, we tend to go either all white, which I don't like because it ruins the highlights, or all black in the background, or parts of gray sort of blended in, or gradients. Okay. For right now, I'm going to go ahead, just sort of curious if I blend that in. That's not too bad because it gets the work to sort of pop forward a little bit. My only concern is that if I go to print this, what do I know that's going to happen immediately to that background value of my paper? It's going to get really dark. It's going to jump up 10, 15, maybe 20%, and that might be too much. Okay, so what I can do is I can adjust some of these. Now, what I have to be careful of is if I turn that off, I just have the white layer underneath, right? That's fine. If I didn't have that layer and I turn those off, I get the checkerboard. So having a base color under your layers is always really great, because now if I come in here and if I want to dull this down a little bit and drop the opacity down, okay, of this layer, hold on a minute, turn that back on. Since I have the white underneath there, when I'm dulling this down, see, it's making the page a lot lighter now. You see that? And that sort of works for my benefit, because what is it doing for the work now? It makes the work pop up. So whether I go lighter or darker, it's up to you. Just remember, when you go to print, it's going to jump up 10 to 15% in value there. Okay? Here, let me put that dark gradient on there. Let me lighten this up a little bit. Oops. Let me modify. I just want to play with this and see what I have real fast here. I actually like something like that. That's a little bit more, that's what I was talking about, a neutral. It's sort of tone, but it has a little bit of gray under there. That way it really gets the work to sort of pop forward just a little bit, okay? So I'm going to stick with that right now. And what I like to do is I go ahead and I turn on some work to find out where it might be situated best. So for example, this piece is very horizontal, right? Because it's really horizontal, it would probably do better to read on the bottom than it would to be up like on the top, let's say. Okay, oop, let me grab the piece. If I had it up here, it makes it very top heavy, so it's probably better to put a piece of work like that down below here. So I have a couple other, I have another piece that's horizontal in that almost that same size format. Let me see if it is. No, this was a lot longer and skinnier, right? I could probably fit that and call it a page and I would be fine, but there's some work in here, a lot of blues and stuff that's pulling me away. So I might just go ahead and throw, I have these two roughs that I was doing here. I might just take this guy here and size him down, and that could fit fine right about in there, right? Okay, no problems there. I can put him right there. And I have this other one here of this exploration little sketch that I did right here. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down right here like so. Okay, and there, that fits pretty good. Now I want these to fit together to be the same size to see what it looks like, or if I wanted to, I could overstack them somehow. I could make one a little bit smaller, one a little bit larger, and then this one down below is completely large, right? It's up to me. So what I might do is scale this one right here so it's the same height as the piece next to it. Move it right next to it so it's almost, use my arrow keys, I'm pressing V for the move tool, right? Get it lined up, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these layers. I'm going to move them towards each other so I know which ones they are. Hit Control T, and now I can scale them together to make sure they fit together sort of nice. So there, I have that right there. And then what I'm going to do, this is an old advertising trick that I learned, okay? When it comes to borders, I always want to have a little bit more border down below on the bottom. Does anyone know why? It adds visual weight to your presentation of your work. So if I make this a little bit thicker down here, it acts as sort of a foundational weight, and it keeps the work propped up nicely. If I take a piece and I drop it down like this, it's right on the edge, and it just doesn't feel the same. When you get used to doing this, having that little bit of a visual weight under the bottom like that, a little bit thicker, good professional photographers and artists will use this quite a bit when presenting work, is they have just that little section down there. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to go ahead for this demo. I'm going to use these three pieces that I have, and now what I want to do is I want to be able to go in there and I want to list what the work is, and I want to put my name, and we'll talk about making a little presentation box or adding some other goodies on there. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is, just because I'm probably a little bit more anal retentive, I'm going to grab these layers and put them up on the top here so I know this is my top one, that's the one on the right, that's one on the bottom. Sometimes what I like to do is, so I don't get them confused if I'm making multiple pages at one time, I just create a folder really quick. So I just select a folder like this, put it right up on here. I label this and I call it page 1. So that's my page 1 of my portfolio. I'm going to grab these three images right here and I'm going to drop them inside. And then the benefit is I can turn off the whole page and see what it looks like underneath. Okay, so I'm going to do that for a second, and we're going to come back. Let's go ahead and talk about making some type of an outline or decoration on our page. I want to have my name on there, and I might have a website or the class description of the project or something that communicates a little bit more to the viewer. So what I'm going to do right now, a couple little things that I learned from back in the heyday. Okay, I'm going to create a layer, put it up on top, and I'm just going to come over here like this, and I'm going to select with my marquee tool, try to do about equal spaces. I'm going to be a little bit heavier on the bottom like so. And then I'm going to take this, I'm just going to put a simple gradient in it. I'm going to grab a darker value like this, you know, about 80-90% black. And then I have a light gray here. I'm going to go over to G, but it's on my bucket tool now, so I'm going to press on G and go to the gradient tool. Then I could come over here, I'm on a new layer, and I could just strike a gradient going across like that. Okay, that's simple. I'm just going to leave it there. The benefit where this comes in handy is if I come over here and if I put this onto multiply or soft light, okay, and blend it in somehow, I can create a nice little gradient that can really work for what I have here. And I'll come back to that in just a second here. Okay, let me see what else I can put it. Two other ones I use overlays sometimes. See, look at that. That's pretty neat. Overlay totally swapped the way the image looks. So if I come back and put my artwork on there, see how I have that? I can have a little presentation page that's back behind it now. So let me show you what I mean. If I grab this, oops, let me back up there. Let me take this. Now this is above the artwork. I'm going to drag this layer and put it underneath the artwork right here. There, do you see how I just did that? And now if I grab move, I can scale that up like this. I can go back to transform. It's just a simple halftone gradient, so it can fit in there pretty nice. Do you see how that acts as like a nice little accent now to hold the work together? Okay, that was sort of a discovery. I didn't even mean to make it pop out like that. Let's just keep moving along here because I'm just beginning to where I could start adding some detail and some linear work and so on to have a page together. So again, let me turn off the work, and I'm going to grab that out of the folder, put it right there, turn the folder off, there. And that was the layer on overlay. So what happens if I duplicate that layer? And now I'm going to take it off of overlay, go back to normal. Okay. I'm going to label this OL to remember it was overlay. I'm going to come back here, take this one. What if I do this? Transform. What if I squash it like this, right? I'm going to rotate it right now. And I can put it down here. I can use this as like a text block. Or I can put my name on top of it if I like. So let's do that real quick. I like to have my layers up so I can modify them. I'm going to come over here real quick. I can go to the type tool. I don't like to go to pure black. I go to like more of a gray. I find it a little bit softer. Okay, and I'm going to come over here, hit T for type, touch on here. I'm going to type up my name. Oh, and I got red instead. That's okay. We'll adjust that in a minute. So I'm going to call Philip Dimitriadis. I have my name up there. I'm going to highlight my name. First of all, I didn't realize it was on that ugly red. So let me come over here and put it on sort of a darker gray. There it is. I have that done. And next thing I want to do is I want to find a font that sort of represents me a little bit. I like this. I've seen this font before. This Felix. It's okay, but it's a little bit. Let me just go through here and find a couple. Looking at some samples that are here. I've used this one before, monotype. No, that's not it. Where's the one that has the... Schiller is funny. So let me just pick something real quick and then we'll just keep going. I'm looking for the one that's... I like them a little scriptive. Like, that's pretty cool. That looks nice. Looks professional, right? So there, I have Philip Dimitriadis right there. Okay, so I can put my name down here. And then let me come over here, and what do I want to call this page? I can call this, when I look at the artwork, there's some pieces done in color. I could call it VisCom for visual communication, right? So maybe I'll call it VisCom environment development, okay? Now what's wrong right there? Anyone? I misspelled something. Proofread your work. Huh? That's right, I misspelled development on purpose. Okay, anything else misspelled? Always proofread your work so people can see. Now what happens right here when I go to put that on that little tone block I put there? It sort of fades out, right? So I have one or two options. I can put another block and make it the same value, or what if I did this? What if I came over here, and what if I took that and I made this a lighter value like this? And then if I grab that and put that down here, that's sort of cool. Because then on one side it gives you a description of what it is. Now, I personally like I don't like having the types be the same size, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this really fast. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here. I'm going to go down and drop it down to maybe about 30%. That's not bad. Let's say I decide to put that right there. Okay, now remember that this little gradient that I had going across here? I'm going to see if I can have some fun with that and reuse that in my piece really fast. I have that right here, so I can duplicate it, duplicate that layer. Okay, I'm going to bring it up, say about right here, transform it. It's just a halftone, right? I don't like going dark to light going that way. What if I rotate back like this? I get really picky with this. Okay, now I'm not planning on keeping this. I'm going to dull this down and fade it into the background. But something really cool that I thought I'd show you, which I've done before, is you can take just the marquee and you can make some type of interesting pattern that might be represented a little bit later under part of the artwork. For example, I can just select something like this. I can say delete. I might come over here and do that. Okay. Might do something like that. Okay, there we go. And what I can do is I can then drop that a little bit later into multiply, soft light, or whatever, and it can be some type of decorative pattern that might be in the back of my work. I'll get to that in just a second. Let me show you where I'm going with this, okay? Let's multiply is going to make that real dark. Soft light changes it. Okay, so let me turn this back on here. So right now I have my name on there, and I have this gradient right here. Let me go ahead and turn on the work that I have. So it's somewhat better of a selection. I just don't like that black to white fade right there. So what I'm going to do is come back over here and see how I can manipulate that a little bit. Perhaps let's see if I put it in soft light, what it might do if it changes it. That's sort of cool. See what that did? I put it in soft light, and it blended my name there with the title, and then it almost blends into the paper and then sort of comes back and gets a little bit wider, and then I have my name up on top of it. I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. And I like the way the work is looking in there, but I think I want to create, so remember I just created that other page, which is like this weird pattern design. Okay, let me see if I can get that to show right now. There, do you see what I just created? I just created sort of a different, I took that pattern design back there, and I just punched a couple, negative splices out of it, and I ended up with that. So if I move that around my shape, it sort of creates this different look or feel. See what I'm doing? So look, I might drop that down to about there. I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. Watch, I'm going to duplicate the layer now. Let's duplicate it. And what if I transform one and make one a lot smaller? Like that. That's pretty neat, right? But I don't like how it goes and then ends. See if I can just get it right in there. There, so do you see how I created that very quickly? Let me go back and show you. Let me take off the artwork, okay? I just created this simple pattern that was right here. All right, I went in and I placed this layer on hard light. Normal, it looks like this. Looks ugly, right? But when I place that on hard light, it has a cool little effect where it just separates out part of the page. And then it adds like a little graphic element. So then when I come in and turn on my artwork, and then I have that all put together, that looks sort of cool. Then what I did is I just took that layer, duplicated it, transformed it, put it up on the top to create another little graphic approach or little feel right there. See how I did that? Now watch. I could even take this now and duplicate that. And what if I take that and bring it down this way a little bit and put it... What if I rotate it? I don't know. I'm big on experimentation. I think it's a fantastic way to work, and you can get some really great results with it. That's cool. So there, I have something that's, you know what, hold on. I'm second guessing that part. I like it when it covers up the whole thing, but I don't like it where it hits that development, so let me do this. Let's flip it the other way. Right click on it, flip horizontally, boom. And see if I can get that to fit in there somehow a little bit easier. That's sort of cool. And then I can end that part right before my name, about right there. Okay? Cool, that's it. That's for right now. I like that. I like how that's looking. What I'm going to do now is I want to take everything up on the top here, and I'm just going to do a little stroke, a little black line around that. Okay? So I'm going to take my artwork that's here, these 3 layers. I'm going to select all 3, hit Control T. I'm going to transform them in and bring them in just a little bit like that. You see that? I just scaled them down ever so slightly. I'm going to move them over just a little bit like this. And now I'm going to create a new layer for this. I'm going to call it Box, B-O-X. Okay, I'm going to take my marquee. I'm going to draw a light line sort of going around my work and end it to about right there. Okay, I'm going to make sure it's centered pretty nicely. So I'm going to move that over a little bit to the right, drop it down a little bit like so. Does that look okay? And then what I'm going to do is I have that same color that my name is in. It's this gray. It's not black. Why not black? Because black flattens things. It can be too dark. I'm going to select that light gray right there. It's already there. I'm going to go under Edit. I'm going to tell it to stroke. Okay, what it's going to do is its stroke is going to create a line that goes around there. It starts off at 4px. So watch, if I hit Control H to hide the ant lines, you know, it doesn't do it on my, there it goes. Hit OK. Okay, it didn't do it. Hold on. Hold on, let's see what happened here in Photoshop. Okay. Let's try that again. Something weird happened there. I went to hide it. Maybe my PC's acting up or there. So I have that set right there, right? Edit stroke. Okay, hit OK. And if I hit deselect, see that little gray box I just put around there? Now it's really thin, you can barely see it, right? So maybe I decide to fix that a little bit. So here I'm going to get Command Z to there before I did it. I'm going to come back under Edit there. Let's go stroke. This time I might increase the color a little bit more. And then I'm going to increase the size just a teeny bit. And I'm going to come over here. Let's say I want to do this at 6 point. Hit OK. Okay, deselect. There, so now I have this sort of, I'm going to transform it just a little bit to get it to fit in there. Make it a little bit tighter there, a little bit tighter that way. Don't transform it too much. Just light adjustments. If I transform it too much, it's going to make the size of the line lighter. There. So see, now I have that little outline around my work. It like keeps it centered there. And now watch. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to zoom in here real quick. I'm going to come down here to the bottom. I'm going to select this right here. I'm going to go across and go along that little box right there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stroke. Okay, so let me add another layer here. Edit, and then stroke. Okay, okay. Deselect. This time what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my marquee and delete the top of the box right here, like this. That way it looks like sort of a line underneath my text block if I want. It just supports it a little bit. And that's just me being picky. That way I can see it says Viscom Environment Design. Has my name on it. And then I have my sample of my work. I have a color that sort of makes a neutral color in the back that makes the artwork pop forward, right? I have 3 pieces on the page. They're sort of graphically arranged. So they're not just, there's not symmetry on the page. It looks boring. I have a little bit of an outline behind it, and then I have the key project that's there. Okay, that's it. I would save this right now. What I'll do, let me show you another method that you can do, another way you can make a really quick sort of environment page too. So we'll call that page 1 right now, and I'll save it. So then let me hit Command S, hit saving, and then I want to come back down here. I want to take all of these layers that are together and see if I can't I'm going to put them in a separate folder, but then let me just go ahead and do this. Let me select all these. You know what? I'll just turn them off manually. So let's go ahead. Let's create another page really quick. This time I might do a little bit of a graphic arrangement in there somehow. you know what? I had this idea. Let me see if I can put this one together really quick here. Let me see if I can. I'm going to keep my name in there. Let me go ahead. Let me turn off the artwork right now. Let's turn that off. Let me come down here. I'm going to delete this stuff in here. So now I'm going to save this as page 2 because I don't want to lose. I just saved page 1. So here, let me select this stuff in here. All this. Let me take that. Let me delete it. Okay. That's my text block, or my grade block. Let me label that real quick. And let's go to a different color this time. So let's say I want to totally go the opposite direction. Well, I have that gradient right now over that paper. I can select that layer, Command All, and I can go to Command U real quick. Let's say I want to do more of a, let's get like a blue tint in there. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Something like that is what I was thinking about. Just like that, a light blue. Okay. Give me 1 second. I want to go get a pattern from online, and I'm going to use that pattern really quick to make something neat. Okay, welcome back. So what I wanted to do now, let's make another portfolio page really quick. I took the page that I had and I made it blue, and I found this. You can do this with any type of texture that you might be interested online. I found this really simple polygonal texture right here with hexagons. Okay, I really like this a lot, so I'm just going to say select all, copy, and I'm going to come over here right now. I'm going to hit paste. I'm going to paste that on there. Now it comes down pretty low res. Let me see what happens if I enlarge it, if I can get it to, if it'll hold its resolution there. And it does hold pretty good. So what I can do right now is I might put some of this right in here, okay? And then I'm going to duplicate it and see if I could fit it in like a puzzle, but then I'm going to alter it. So bear with me for a second, and I'll show you the method of my madness and where I'm going with this. Okay, here, let me duplicate this, right? Let me bring it over here. Let me transform. Actually, instead of transforming it, I'm just going to flip it horizontally. And there, that's what I was hoping, is I might be able to match it up somewhere like that. Look at that, perfect match right there. Let me see. Nah, it's a little heavier in the lines. You know, I don't want to do it. I'll just leave it like that. That's actually not bad at all. That's pretty cool, right? Right. Awesome. No, hold on. No, I didn't like it. It hit the end there. So let me flip it horizontally real quick. Here, I'm going to just make it so it doesn't touch. I'll just put it right maybe in there. Let's see if I can get that to go. That's not bad at all. So I'm going to do that one, and then I'm going to do the same thing again. Actually, here, let me just do it like this. Nah, I don't want to do that either. Hold on a minute. I should have duplicated the other one, but that's all right. I can duplicate that one now, and I'm just going to bring it off here to the end. I'm just going to get it to link up right about... I don't think that'll be a perfect match. Let me see if I get it somewhat close. That's pretty close right there. It's not bad. And then let me turn it off and on. So what I want to do is erase it to where some of it blanks out a little bit. So I'm going to come in here and just erase a little bit of this right to here. Okay. Let me turn it off and on real quick. There, that's not bad. It is hitting the paper right here on the edge. That's all right. Let me see if I just bring it up a little bit more. It's sort of, I like it sort of like that right there. That's fine. So what I'm going to do right now is, hold on. Just curious if I rotated it like that and see what it looks like. You know what, that looks just fine. I'm going to just throw it up here like this in the corner. Okay, so I have that little pattern in there, right? Nothing fancy, but what's really cool, now it's black. What if I change it to become white? what would that look like? So that's really easy to do. I have all that information right now on one layer right here. Okay, you see that? All I have to do is go to levels right now and just suck out all of the black that's in there and make it white. Okay, so that could be a really cool backdrop that I can put. Then I can go back to opacity, and I can now drop the opacity down really low. And where I have my text block over there, I can select that and delete that and get that area to pop out on its own. Okay, or actually let's do something different this time. Let's not rely on that same text block. Okay, but I'm going to keep my type in there with my name on it. Let's do this. There's my background. Oops, just dropped my phone. And I'm going to take off that grade block right here. Okay, actually just to save myself time, I'm going to put this back to normal. I'm going to make this 100% opacity. There it is. What I'm going to do is V. Okay, I'm going to select it real quick with the wand. There we go. Actually, like that. I just selected it. And the way I did that, that's a cool little trick. If you just hit Command-Alt-V and hit the move arrow, it'll select the icon that you have in there. Now that I have that selected, I'm going to go to Brush. I'm going to grab this blue, and I'm just going to go a little bit more like this. Hit OK. Okay, and then I'm going to fill it. Not with a gradient this time, just with a bucket. So I'm just going to say Edit. Let's go down to Fill here. Foreground color, OK. And there, I just filled it with that just base right there. The reason why I wanted to do that is I wanted to show you this, which is really cool. Check this out. There's this little icon down here, okay? Under Effects, right? I have that layer filled, right? Watch what happens if I press this and type in Drop Shadow right now. Okay, it's going to ask me where do I want to control my shadow. Let me zoom in. Can you see the black shadow now around my little text block there? Around that block? And see, as I move the shadow right now, it's adjusting the shadow underneath it. Watch the distance. Oh my gosh, you see that? Magic, right? I just adjusted the distance. Look at what it did. Look at the spread. Awesome. Okay, so I just created that little shadow block underneath there. I got my little name to pop out of there, and that just took me 2 seconds of just telling it to do on a base block. I hit OK. Now I'm going to come over here. Let's throw some work in there. Let's arrange this a little bit differently. Let's see what other pieces I still had. I have my little castle piece here. Okay, so let me turn these on. I have castle. What else do I have here? No, I used those before. Let me pause. Let me grab some work to put in here. Zoom. Okay, guys, I just grabbed some work that I had that I want to be able to throw in there. So select all, copy. Let me just grab some of these images. I have a sketchbook page there. Let me touch back here. I'm going to paste that in. Oop, that came out really small. Let's see if that's pixelated. That was a JPEG image I had in there. That might be fine. Let's say I'm putting together a portfolio page now that has a little bit more tech, and I want to have some broken up areas of information in there, right? You need to think like a graphic designer when you're doing this stuff and try to put the most interesting work together based for the presentation. So select all, copy. Let me close this. Let's go back over here. There, I'm going to paste that in here. That's a lot larger. I might have that up on top like this. Let's see what else I can maybe fit in there. I have the castle. I can put that one in. And I might paste that one in. Transform. That thing's really big. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use part of this orientation here. I'm going to make another page. I'm going to have some sketches, this work. Let's say this all happened to be for my VisCom final for a class, right? So what I'm going to do now is start moving some pages around. Again, I really side on having the work that's the heaviest down towards the bottom. It's just a personal preference. I'm going to grab my little creatures. I'm going to bring them down here. I like the thought of the castle maybe being up here, sort of like a dominant image on the right side. And then I had these sketches. There were just some thumbnail comps and sketches from my sketchbook that I put together on a page, and I'm going to bring that right up in here. Okay, now that doesn't really fit in there too well, so I might decide to go in and alter some of that, and let me figure out what I want to alter. Let me see if I enlarge this and put this on the top. And let's just delete some of this. I'm going to take this right here and copy this separate. I have some ships right there. I don't know what to do. This one will work fine. Okay guys, I pasted some images in there. Right now I'm going to finish up this page. So again, what's really important is you don't ever want to have all your images be the same size. Have some variation in the way that you're arranging your presentation. Make it graphic and make it interesting, visually appealing to what the eye is getting to see. Okay, I'm going to keep this smaller one up here. I like the thought of this larger one right here, this little sketch of some ships. I like that being down here. And what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can transform that a little bit more. Get that to fit in about there. So I'm going to try to get that to match in with this outside line right in here. That's not too bad. Now I'm sort of second guessing. It wasn't too bad over here overlapping. That could be cool with it coming like this, because there's nothing in that composition, that part of the frame. So let me see if I can keep it about right there. That's pretty cool, like that. And then I'm going to bring the other one down here just for presentation's sake. Let's say about right in there. I might make this a little bit smaller. So here's my presentation. Let's say I created this environment. I have some ships. Now, something that I like to do too is I might want to do a little cutout here on this. What I'm going to do is take my marquee tool right now, and I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to cut ever so slightly, a little bit around that box right there, like that. Boom. And let's see, did it do it? Nope, it didn't. Let's try again. Delete. Okay. And it is not wanting to delete. That's weird. I'm hitting delete and nothing's happening. Let's figure out what's going on here. Maybe I need to just hit erase. You know what? I think I know what's going on. We're losing our tools because of the memory of the recorder. Let's try it again. Aha, now it deletes. It wouldn't do it that time. There, so I just deleted a little piece from around there. Okay. Move that box up. Oops. Just a little bit more. Come on, Photoshop. Sorry guys, the recorder's getting this to drag down a little bit. There we go. And just get that little section out right there. Hit delete. There we go. Deselect. There. And then it just sort of frames, and I have that little piece right there up above it, just sort of sitting there. And now I'm going to just move that over a teeny bit more. Just like that. That's it. So now that's my page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these four together so I know where they all are. There we go. Now they're all as one layer. Okay, that way I could transform them a little bit, make them a little bit smaller. Okay. And what's cool is now I have this just really simple sort of graphic pattern shape that's around there, and I put that on a separate layer. On a separate layer. So now I can still go back in that and I can modify it any way that I like. So let's take a look at what I have. There's my text block with the effects of the drop shadow on it. Here's my art, and then here underneath is part of that pattern. Let me move this pattern to where it looks the best in my presentation. There, I sort of like it being up about there, and then I might duplicate it. Duplicate. See if I could bring that down here a little bit more. What's cool is, look, I could create like a little hollow pattern effect. In fact, watch this. If you want to try something different, what happens if I darken that pattern down below? So what if I did this? What if I take this right now, go to levels, and I darken it a little bit more? Hold on. Let's do that again. More of a gray like this. And if I drop this underneath the white, and I move this and get it to be somewhere like right under that white, now let me see what it looks like if I bring it over. And then I'm going to delete this part here. There. So let's say that's my new page right now. Okay. I have this white background in there. I have this gray background. I have some art in there. If I want to, I could come under the art real quick and put a little bit of a drop shadow under that. One way I can do that really quickly is I have the art all selected right here, so I can just duplicate that layer really fast, right? As I just duplicated it, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to levels. I'm going to suck out all the light out of it. There, it's completely black. You see that now? And then I'm going to drop that underneath my artwork. And then watch, if I hit the move tool and I lightly go to the left or to the right, I can create a really quick drop shadow underneath part of my art. And then I can just go into the opacity and I could drop it down a little bit like so. Okay? And that's pretty cool. It makes the artwork pop out really quick and easy. And then that's it. I have another sheet there that's done. Okay? So that's another portfolio page we did really quick. And I like the arrangement. I like having things in different sizes. I like having something very large, something in the medium, and then I tend to put my thumbnails, my thinking, my silhouette studies, or any of my my initial sketches as a smaller version up on the top. And then I have this sort of white effect in here. It transfers down to the sort of a black hexagon in here. I have it labeled with my name, and that's it. It's done. There's another page. That makes for a much better presentation than just putting an image on flat white paper. Presentation is key. And I'm just scratching the surface. I'm doing a really quick demo here. Imagine if I spent an hour or two just doing a really cool demo page. I mean, I could really think of something very graphically. There could be art direction in it where it reflects the civilization of the people that might live there and so on. There's all kinds of really cool things that you can do. In fact, check this out. Here's something that I used to do before. Take an image that's inside your piece right now. Like you see the ship right here. So I'm going to zoom in here and grab the ship right here. Okay. Now watch. I'm going to take that ship. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to copy and paste that ship. And now I'm going to transform it and make the ship. Oops. Helps if I did it on the right layer, right? Right. So there, I have that selected. Now I'm going to copy that, paste that. Okay. I'm going to take that ship. Now watch, I'm going to transform the ship and make it really big like this. Hopefully it won't get too pixelated. It does a little bit, but that's okay. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop this underneath my artwork and my shadow. I'm going to come over and put it on multiply so you won't see the white. And then you're going to see the line underneath. You see that? Of the ship. So now I could put like that line drawing right here of part of my ship or my design. And then I could drop the opacity on it and get it to blend in. See how I just did that? Now watch, I'm going to duplicate that, and I can bring that over here and put that over here. See what I'm getting at? I could take a rough drawing and even superimpose it on the backdrop, lower down the line quality, and it sort of sits there and acts as a resting plate for the work sitting on top. This is the same, it's like almost creating a blueprint sketch. And even if I wanted to blueprint it, I could come over here to levels. Let me see, I don't know if this will work. No, it's not. It's going to change it out. But I could select just the line, put it in as white if I wanted to, do something like that. So the sky's the limit. But all that matters is I have something that's been thought out, that's presented, and it's much better than just a plain white page. I have something that looks professional, and it indicates that I spent some time in what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to wrap up this demo on portfolio pages. We'll be right back.